There's no that is going to screw up a society, man. Okay, they're basically just creating non-binary and trans kids, right? Because as I mentioned, trans and non-binary kids suffer from a thing called gender dysphoria. And what is that? It just means confusion about gender. So if you have a 5-year-old and you keep telling them in school and on cartoons and all this stuff that no one knows what your gender is, and it can be whatever out of these hundreds of genders. 5 years old, they don't even know the number 100. So they're already confused there. Then you name all these hundreds of genders. You're creating confusion. You're confusing them about gender, right? Keep in mind, it's like 1 in 10 million people that are trans and non-binary. Why are, you know what I mean? And yet everybody, you're going to confuse 300 million kids or 150 million kids or whatever's in the, 100 million kids in the country. That's crazy. So that's how this religion is going to get, take off, man. They're already indoctrinating. You've seen how it's in these flags are in the schools, the government, everybody. It's like a cult, man, all over, and it's all over. It's not happening in just one country. It's all over, man. So, and it's not that they're just creating trans kids and that. If you're autistic, gay, fetishes, let's see, the cross-dresser, you're goth, depressed, low social skills, introverted, you just don't have a lot of friends, you're tomboy, you're femboy, these people that are, and this always reminds me of the movie, if you're old enough, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a Christmas cartoon or like a Play-Doh animation type thing or whatever. And it was something called like the Misfit Presents from Misfit Island or something. And all the toys that were, like you might have a toy dog and you pulled a string and it sounded like a cat. Or you had a table that had one leg missing, you know what I mean? There's always something wrong with the toy, you know what I mean? So they threw them, these defective toys on Misfit Island. And the toys came alive, you know what I mean? And the whole movie was about how the Misfits banded together, to prove that they're better than everybody else, you know what I mean? Or just as good as everybody else. But it reminds me of that movie. I'm curious who wrote that movie and directed it and made it possible for us to all see it. Because it reminds me of that they're just trying to get all, not only because they're going to confuse everybody, right, all these kids with this gender theory, right, saying there's 100 genders and you can, if you're a girl and you play with a truck one time, man, you're not really a girl, But they're not just getting those people that they tricked, right? They're also tricking anyone, that's autistic. They say, well, no, you're gay. No. It's really that you're trans and you just need this gender affirming care, you know what I mean? But it's not just that. If you're just an outcast and you don't have any friends, why wouldn't you join this? I showed you the videos about these high schools and junior highs and kids all just running out screaming, we love LGBT, don't take their flags away, don't take their exclusive flags that excludes everybody, it only includes a small portion, don't take those flags away that represent supremacy, but what kid wouldn't want to join that club? You get more rights than everyone else, they join together and hang out to do protests and stuff. I mean, they make little banners together and walk through the schools carrying these big banners and stuff, and the flags all colorful. Kids love colors and stuff, you know what I mean? You make the flags all different colors and all this. Oh my. They're going to create this religion through kids. Now I want you to realize too, because this is all a way to destroy the family unit, because if you have a war, you take out the leader, right? Well, who's the leader of your family? It's the man, right? You feminize the man and make him into not a man, and demonize what a man is. You're going to destroy the family unit like that. It's going to be that easy. And I want you to think, you know, you have a boy, say, right? And he's dressing in dresses, you know, just to emulate his mother, basically, or his sister, probably. And instead of them saying, hey, don't do that, you know, and then the kid doesn't do it, and then his brain gets wired up to be a boy, right? Because you tell him, hey, you're a boy. But what happens if you don't do that? What if you tell your kid, even though he would be a boy if you just waited for his hormones to, you know, puberty, it would be obvious then, you know what I mean? If you just waited, you know, that's the equalizer, your hormones, man. If they would just wait, but they don't wait, and they just want to, you know, immediately affirm that, hey, if he wants to wear dresses, let him wear dresses. But see, it started out just being nothing, you know, him just wanting to emulate his mother or sister or whatever, you know what I mean? It was nothing at that point. But if you continue to if you don't stop it, and you let it keep happening, what happens is the little boy's brain gets, before puberty, it's getting wired up. I like dresses. I get, you know, compliments when I wear my dress. I get parties when I put my dress on. You know, gender affirming stuff all over the place, cakes and cookies. You're gonna wire it up. Now what? When he grows up, he isn't trans, right? He was just doing it to, you know, emulate, man. Just all little boy. Same with girls. They want to emulate they're stuck in their house from 5 years old, or they only see their parents and their brothers and sisters. They gotta emulate somebody, man. But now you turned it into, see, they're not going to be trans when they grow up. They're going to be fetishists. They're going to be cross-dressers. They're going to need this cross-dressing to some degree, okay, to get, you know, hard-ons, man, to have sex or whatever. You know, they're going to be, if they can't, you know, if it's not that bad, they're going to be thinking of it in their head while they're having sex so that they get hard, you know what I mean? It will be a crutch, and it will, you know, degrade at his manhood that this, you know, he's got this fetish, you know what I mean? Who wants that? Why would you want that for your, you know? But that's what's gonna happen, you know, when they grow up, and they're gonna have all these problems because women are not attracted, you know, in general, aren't attracted to men that emulate women. Yeah, same way men don't like women that emulate men. You know, they don't like a woman that has short hair or, you know, acts like a boss babe and pushy and everything. You know, I showed it was in the schools all over the place, the flag, the cult. I showed it in government buildings because you got to remember, these schools are government buildings, okay? No flag should be hung except the United States flag. But the United States flag, it covers everybody. You can't go wrong with that. They hate that flag, though. They're about inclusion, but they hate the only flag that includes everyone. And I wanted to bring up something, too, because I post this a bunch of times, and, you know, 1 out of 10, they actually don't delete my post. And so I get replies. And I put this up, you know, about how it's the only inclusive flag. And I get this childish thing back from these idiot Democrats, right? These libtards, right? Well, it doesn't include like Finland or Russia or UK. They'll name some other, you know, some other countries or whatever. Okay, first of all, I'm going to say 2 things about this. Number one, that's the most childish thing that, if you can't see how childish that is, you're crazy. Okay? That's like if I was in the Boy Scouts and there's a Boy Scout flag. I'm like, this Boy Scout flag is the only one that represents us all. I'm talking to the Boy Scouts, you know, in my camp or whatever. And someone says, well, it doesn't include the Girl Scouts. Like, duh. What do you, like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, you know what I mean? Going past that, the stupidity, and it's not even stupid. It's just so childish, you know what I mean? But it doesn't include people from other countries. No shit. Who cares? What the fuck? What does that mean? Like, yeah, just something to deflect, you know what I mean? But getting past that, okay, these people, these are basically Americans and illegal aliens, right? They are so entitled, okay, and this is a form of supremacy, All this crap is just supremacy, okay? Because if you think that you are so entitled, like these libtard Democrat Americans, they think they are so entitled, they are such supremacists that they think that all foreign flags should include them, right? They think the Russian flag, they should be included under that flag. The UK flag, they should be included under that flag. Because they think that they are better than... No one else has, in the history of the planet, human race, has ever even fathomed thinking of having this right that you should be able to be included in every group. No one is included in every group, okay? I can't go into the girls' bathroom, right? I'm not included in that group, right? But the LGBT, they are supremacists. They think that they should have a right that no one has ever even had or even fathomed of having, which is to be included in every freaking group. Who has that? Who has that power? Who has that? Nobody has that right. If there's a flag, you know, for Boy Scouts, like I said, I can be under. I can get that. I can't go to the Girl Scouts and be under their flag. I wouldn't want to. It's the Girl Scouts. You know what I mean? But these people, it's just like the church, right? Just think of a Muslim, you know, a whole bunch of 1,000 Muslims, you know, started going to Christian churches, not saying they're Muslim, right? And then 20 years later, they all come out and say, "Oh, I was just oppressed. Those Christians oppressed me. I had to hide." Okay, first of all, you weren't hiding like you know. You were going to that church pretending to be them, even though you weren't, and you were hiding the fact that you're a piece of crap, a liar. You know what I mean? But then 20 years later, he says, "I was oppressed. They won't let my Muslim values come into their Christian church. They're not inclusive." That's insane. If you can't see that, that's insane. Because the LGBT is doing that, this cult, to the Christian church right now. They have all these gay, lesbian, whatevers, that were priests in the churchhood. So obviously they did not believe in the Bible. They're not Christians, obviously. Okay? Because if they were Christians, they would look in the Bible and see that it says you can't be gay and lesbian and whatever, trans or whatever. Alright? So they obviously, just like a Muslim. Muslim doesn't believe in the Bible. So why would he infiltrate the Christian church and then 20 years later say, "I'm the victim because I had to hide that I was a Muslim," because they won't let me override their values and make my values replace their values. That's not what's the LGBT saying. I am such a supremacist that I should be included under every flag, another country. People come in, you know, from other countries. They should be included. Everyone should be included. That's supremacy. Because nobody has that right. Nobody has ever asked for that right. I want you to think about it. The last decade, all these kids from all over the world are being indoctrinated and brainwashed and forced to be confused about gender, which is gender dysphoria. They are going to, all those kids, they're going to join this cult. I want you to notice how they're all unsafe. Even though, like, how can you be unsafe in a school that has LBG flags draped all over the place, BLM flags draped all over the place? The kids come out and protest with LGBT flags, but they're, I'm unsafe because couple parents don't want me to fly my exclusive, non-inclusive flag, LGBT flag in the school. So they need this new global religion. And I'm going to stop these video series and come back to it maybe in a month and finish them up with maybe 5 videos. And we're going to start at the beginning, 10,000 BC, all the way up to about 500 AD, where this bloodline that we've been talking about, right, the 7 kings, we'll link it all together, right? And like I said, we're going to start out with a medicine man, right, or a prophet or whatever, a religious person, and a leader. They're going to be brothers, right? And They're going to have a bloodline.